Hey, welcome back to some naval news with Subbrief. Today we're going to begin with the big picture of the globe and what the Navy's doing around the world, and we're going to slowly work our way to some specific stories we're going to talk about today. Big credit and shout out to the Naval Institute for making this great graphic every week that shows the general location of our deployed fleets. We'll reference this frequently here in the beginning. Let's begin in the Mediterranean Sea with the Ford Carrier Strike Group, where she's doing a routine Mediterranean patrol in that vicinity. She's accompanied by 5 Arleigh Burke destroyers, very heavily defended, well-guarded aircraft carrier, along with some support vessels, doing a number of different things in the area, working with the Italian Navy, the French as well. They're just showing a presence in that area. I believe that she will eventually end up in the Red Sea and in the Arabian Gulf. They're off the coast of Yemen. Probably keeping an eye on the Iranians as well. She's going to probably set up position down in that southern command area. If we keep moving towards the west into the Indian Ocean, let's take a quick stop off of this chart, though, in the Persian Gulf. I did want to mention this. We have 2 littoral combat ships. This is one of them right here. This is the USS Canberra, and they have been deployed and are officially relieving our very old, some would say ancient, minesweeping squadron or minesweeping ships that have been operating out of Bahrain for decades. Those ships were built back in the 50s and 60s, very old. One of the oldest ships in the commissioned fleet are finally being decommissioned and relieved of their minesweeping duties by the littoral combat ship. So this is the new official job of the LCS. They're all being fitted, at least the Independence class is being fitted with the minesweeping software and equipment, but she'll maintain a surface-to-surface fight capability like you see on the deck forward of the bridge here. She has the anti-ship missile launchers there, and she'll have a limited surface-to-air missile role as well. So she'll be able to support those missions while performing her primary minesweeping mission. And right now we have 2 LCS stationed in the Persian Gulf out of Bahrain for that specific mission. So it's nice the Navy finally got a permanent job for the LCS, and she is able to support other roles, not simply mine sweeping. All right, now let's go on to the Indian Ocean, where we're catching up with the Nimitz Carrier Strike Group. She is sailing eastward towards Singapore. She'll eventually end up in the South China Sea, north of Australia, near the Philippines. I don't know how much time she's going to spend there because we have another carrier strike group already in that position. Nimitz has been at sea for many months now. It's likely, since she's based out of Washington, that Bremerton, she may be going back to home port halfway around the world. So it'll be another month before she even makes it back to port if she sails straight there. But it's likely that she'll probably end up doing a few things along the way. Whenever you have assets like this, we could see things like dual carrier operations with our other carrier fleet that's in the Pacific that we're getting to next. Or she may just do some operations with the Philippines, Japan, maybe Korea, lots of allies in that area and lots of reason to stay and conduct operations. So we'll keep an eye on the Nimitz as she transits through the Malacca Strait, one of the busiest straits in the globe. Very dangerous transit. The likelihood of collision, very high there. So I wish them safe passage as they get through that very narrow, busy strait past Singapore and into the Western Pacific. Now, as we move into the Western Pacific with our topic, we see that USS Tripoli is back in port in Japan. This is where they're forward deployed. So you could say this is their home port for now, is in Sabo, Japan. At sea, though, just west or east, rather, of the Philippines, is the George Washington Carrier Strike Group. And here you can see this is a picture of her at sea. This is not the current deployment. This is a stock photo of her with her air wing on a lot of it on board on top side there. So she is being escorted by a Ticonderoga class cruiser. That's the Robert Smalls, one of the last Tycos we have left in the Navy, and multiple DDGs. There's a destroyer squadron based out of Hawaii that has many Arleigh Burkes and they seem to be rotating them out. Like some will go to sea with them, and then at some point, and it may have already happened, they'll swap some of them out. So I don't have an exact number on how many destroyers are with her. With a Ticonderoga escorting her, she's already very well defended, and that brings a lot of firepower to the fight, in addition to the air wing that's already on it. So that's a lot of firepower in the vicinity of the Philippines, south of Japan. And of course, we've got the Marines up there in port right now, but they can go to sea at any moment and be ready to go break things. All right, so that's kind of the big picture of where we are around the world. Near the United States, we have USS Boxer, which is another LHD. That is a marine carrying helicopter ship, very large ship. They're out there doing some operations off the coast of California. It is very likely that they're doing some kind of workup before they go on a long-term overseas deployment. That's commonly what we see off the coast of California. And we're going to go down and talk about the Iwo Jima ARG that's down there off the coast of Venezuela as our first focus today. Overnight, we got new video from the Department of War showing the 5th drug cartel boat being targeted here and struck with ammunition, killing 6 suspected narco terrorists. So again, sailing in the South Caribbean Sea is a very dangerous activity right now. I would not recommend it, but if you do it, make sure you have your AIS turned on. Make sure you're paying attention to your radio, channel 16, because the U.S. Navy will likely be contacting you to make sure you are who your AIS says you are. And if you don't know what either of those things are, you should not be on a boat anyway, right? But the people that sail the seas know exactly what I'm talking about, and rip another drug runner right there. And that's really all the updates we have for that. That conflict has kind of gone quiet because the cartel hasn't been sending out many boats, honestly. That's only our 5th boat in about 7 or 8 weeks. So they've really slowed down that type of transportation. They may be transporting the cocaine and the illicit drugs in other ways, but via small boat is coming to a stop. So we'll see where or how the drugs get out of Venezuela next. It could be air, it could be over land, who knows, but it's not by small boat. All right, let's move back to Kings Bay, a base that I spent a large part of my career at. Going on board these submarines here. I was stationed on board one of the ballistic missile submarines like you see in this video. This is the shot from the bridge. That's the top when it's on the surface, where the men and the officers stand watch and navigate the ship safely on the surface, listening to the radio and just operating normally. But that's the USS Wyoming, and her CO was fired. So I got looking at that, and the only reason the Navy gave for the firing is the standard boilerplate loss of confidence in ability to command the ship or command the whatever they're at. In that case, it is a submarine. And that is the 14th person fired this year rather. So we are well on our way to exceeding more than one a month for the year of 2025, firing Navy leaders. As you see here, these are all the Navy leaders, mostly commanding officers. The people that are not commanding officers are flag officers above the commanding officer, like the Chief of Naval Operations, Lisa Franchetti, and the Chief of Navy Reserve, also fired this year. And if you look closely at the graphic, you'll see that most of the reasons are the same. Loss of confidence in ability to command, which means something specific to that individual had happened, or the command as a whole, the morale is so low that the government or the Department of War has lost confidence in the ability of that command to perform its duty reliably. And whenever that's a ballistic nuclear submarine with ballistic missiles on board, you need to have a very high confidence that that crew will perform their duty if called upon, because they're called upon to do a horrible job, and you want to have the confidence that they will do it if instructed to do so. And so I feel that the submarine ballistic missile captains are rightly and held to a higher standard than, say, other commands. But that's not an excuse. I believe our captains should live up to that standard. The submarine service as a whole has a very high standard just for survivability, because we don't want to, sink ourselves or have a mistake cost a lot of lives. And so we do have a high standard in the submarine force. But here you can see Navy-wide, some 14 people, 14 commanding officers or above, fired this year. And this isn't really an anomaly, because in 2024, we lost 12 COs, and in 2023, we lost 16 commanding officers or above, flag officers. I believe one of those might have been a chief of the boat, so senior enlisted person on board a command. My point is, the trend of the U.S. Navy is that we routinely fire or dismiss from command more than one captain or above every month. That's the trending average going back years. And I don't know if I should be more upset that we fire that many captains, or if we have so many captains that we can do that and still replace that captain with another person, which is what happens in every one of these cases. Everyone that gets fired on this list has an immediate replacement. A lot of times it's the replacement checking on board, letting the captain know that he has been relieved. So that is continuing to be a trend. The Navy will not expound on this. They'll just make the public statement that it's a loss of confidence in their ability to command, end of statement, and you won't hear anything more about it, which is kind of a disservice. And that leads us to our final story.